Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Cowboys StoryLine. I am Nick Eatman here, and we are wrapping up the month of October. Can't believe it's already been 2 months here in this Cowboys season. Obviously not going like the Cowboys had hoped, sitting at 3-4 as they head into this week's game against the Atlanta Falcons. Tough team to kind of figure out as far as what to expect in the games. I mean, we kind of can see what the problem is with this football team, and it starts in the running game, whether you want to say running the ball, stopping the run. Either way, the Cowboys are near the bottom, if not at the bottom of the league in those two categories. And so you can't stop the run or run the football. You're not going to win a lot of games. So sitting at 3-4 with those kind of stats is actually a little bit of a surprise, especially when you consider the injuries that they've had. But everyone's dealing with injuries. We saw that last week against the 49ers as well, and the Cowboys got to figure out ways to overcome them. They really haven't done that in some of these games against good competition. And the schedule doesn't get any easier. At Atlanta this week, and then, of course, Philadelphia, Houston, at Washington after that. So, this feels like this game against the Falcons is one the Cowboys certainly have to win. All of them, really, at this point. I mean, when you're sitting at 3-4, they're all very, very important to get where you want to go. All right, 888-855-2297 is the number to call. We've got Pete on the line to start us off. So, Pete in Connecticut, let's go.
How's it going, Nick?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just want to bring a little sunshine on the sadness of the Cowboys situation right now. I still believe in Dak, and I still believe that we're going to sneak into the wild card. And I think at this point, we're having so many struggles on offense. Let's just give Jason Witten and Des Bryant a call and get some heart back in that locker room. All right, thanks, Nick. Have a great day, bud.
All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know about the heart in the locker room. I'll never say that and question anybody's heart. But I do think that, I don't know if you need those guys. How about just the guys on the team, like the guys on the roster? Injuries happen to everyone, and so that's not necessarily excuses. But I can promise you this, that nobody's dealing with two guys that were the defensive player of the year candidates, for defensive player of the year in the NFL last year. They didn't win, but two of the finalists, or Micah Parsons and Deron Bland, those were big time players for the NFL last year, not just the Cowboys. So the fact that both of them have been out here for Bland the whole season so far, and Micah for 4 games. This could be 4 games if he misses this week. So yeah, that's a big loss. There's no doubt about it. And the Cowboys just haven't done as good a job as you have to do in those situations to replace him. So that's on the Cowboys. It's on the ownership and the front office and the coaches and all of them to do that, because injuries happen. So, but let's not mistake it. Those are tough losses there. Mike in Birmingham, England is next. Mike.
Hello, Nick. How you doing? Have you caught up on your sleep yet?
Getting there, catching up. Yeah. So it's
good,
all right.
Good.
How are you?
Yeah. I'm all right, thank you. Yeah. Nick, during the bye week, I sort of made my peace with this season, and actually on Sunday night we got closer than I thought we were going to get. We had the chance to win it. We probably shouldn't have been in that position, but we did better than I thought. But I'm not giving up. We've got 10 games to go, and we can get on a run. But at the same time, I think I know where we are. And is it scheme? Is it injuries? Is it that we didn't have the pieces in the first place? Probably all of the above. So my thought, and I wonder what you think about this, is, any thought of trades or anything like that. I think let's keep hold of our draft capital. Let's save as much cap space as possible. The rest of this season, we might get on a run. We might do wonderful things, but it's an audition for those players on the edges. You know, how much do you want it, and how good are you? Show us, and let's build. Didn't want to be saying that after week 7, and it'd be lovely to be proven wrong and we go on a run. But just wondering what you think. Should we be throwing things in for trades, or is it time to look forward now?
Yeah, well, thanks for the call. I mean, I think that's such a broad question because every situation is so different. You know, I think if there is a player that makes sense to bring in that can help you right away, then I would be okay doing that. Like you said, it's a long season still, and 10 games to go, and not they're not out of anything. But it's got to be that rare situation where that guy, for some reason, is on the trade block over here, but he can help you here, and he's not going to take 3 to 4 or 5 weeks to get ready. That's the big thing. I mean, you know, when they made that trade for Amari Cooper, I mean, he was, you know, he's a very, very good route runner, very smart player, very understood the offense. I believe it was a bye week when they did that. So it was able to kind of get him up to speed, and that thing took off. And I think the Cowboys, more than anything, are probably looking at the injured players that they have to kind of help boost them, since there are so many and so many key players there. So, you know, when you look at veteran guys that can come back and help, you know, Micah Parsons, obviously, Deron Bland, DeMarcus Lawrence here, at some point, Brandon Cooks, you know, maybe Jordan Phillips, not sure where he fits into all this, but that could be one if he was healthy. So, you know, there's some. That's probably the route they're going to go. But if something made sense, that could be a plug and play guy that could really stop the bleeding in certain areas. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't consider that, especially if you don't have to give up too much in capital for that. All right, Charles in Austin, Texas. What's up, Charles?
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
Good. How are you, man?
Oh, you know, it's just going through it the best that I can.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out what can be done still and what's ahead in the future. But it's kind of a two-parter here. You know, it seems like we're going through a lot of the same things over and over again. So, I mean, it's like, what can we do during this season? And you know, going from all in to a soft rebuild, it kind of feels more like, you know, we got to get some more pieces to actually put into motion what we really need to do maybe next season. So I was just kind of trying to get your insight on those two aspects.
Yeah, I think, you know, did the Cowboys ever say soft rebuild? I mean, like that's a term I keep hearing. I don't know if the Cowboys have ever said that. Now, I understand what Jerry said about all in, and it's still to this day, not everybody understands, I think, what he was trying to say, or his interpretation is just different than what most people consider for that. But I think what has to happen, what the Cowboys are banking on, is continuing to get this offensive line in a situation where, you know, they can actually be good for this team and not liabilities. And that's kind of what's happened. And I do think the rookies will grow, but I'm not just putting it all on them. I think the combination of this line, this is about as bad of an offensive line as we've seen here for a long time. Just because they went with two young guys at crucial spots on your line, the center and left tackle, and they're learning. They're learning as you go here. Tyler Smith, he's fine. Zach Martin has not been the Zach Martin that we've seen, and not even to his standards. Like, it's one thing to say, well, this is the standard of Zach Martin, and now he's playing here. There's been some stretches where he's played even below that, and so that's concerning. We'll see if he can turn things around here, and this is what I would believe to be his final season with the Cowboys and probably in the NFL. So we'll see how how that goes with him. I know he's got a back injury that's not good. I mean, you can't do anything if you don't have a back. That you know, and we all know that just in life. Again, but he's playing and he's out there and he knows he needs to play better. He said that in the locker room last week. Terrence Steele as well. You know, we've seen too many times where they've given up some big plays. And you know, everybody's got great pass rushers, and the Cowboys have faced seems like the best ones. But you know, they should have been ready for it in training camp. I mean, if Micah Parsons is also in that group, then that's what you get prepared for. So, and Micah was really good in training camp too, if I remember. All right, let's go to Bob in Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Nick, how are you? Yes.
What's going on?
Hey, there's so much we could talk about the Cowboys, but I have a question, and I was thinking about it. You know, been a fan for 40-some years, but back in, let's say, the 60s, 70s, 80s, when did they start having coaches come to the podium after a game and talk to the media? And, you know, when did the full access to the players begin? Or has this been something that's been in the league for years or forever?
Where, are you talking about guys going to the podium or just open locker room or what?
Yeah, so you know, like after the game, Mike McCarthy will talk to Dak Prescott right after the game. So, you know, when emotions are really high. And where I'm going at here is like with Trayvon Diggs and stuff. How long has that been going on? Has it been going on since the inception of the NFL, or was this just something over the last 30 years?
Well, two different things.
Okay.
Because you know, I don't know exactly when the podiums happened. You know, I would say somewhere in the 80s, 90s, probably of coaches going to a podium. I mean, a podium. Obviously, that's a thing. There's a shot of Tom Landry talking like in the locker room with some reporters after the Super Bowl. So way back then. So I'm just saying it's evolved over the years when the media got more and more where it's just too much space. But I'll say that the Trayvon Diggs situation is a little different because this was like him going outside the locker room, and that's also a product. Are you still there, Bob?
Yeah, I am here. Yeah.
All right, because I want to get your take on it. I'm sure you have a follow-up to this as well, but
I do.
I'm just saying that social media and cell phones and things like that, quickly getting the information of what is being said and who you need to confront. I mean, that's obviously different just based off of social media and cell phones and things like that. And Trayvon came outside of the locker room, uniform still on, and decided to do that. And I think he knows that's not a good look, but I've heard him talk about it since, and he hasn't necessarily apologized for that. But it's not a great look for him. Is he warranted in what he's saying? Sure, but still not the best look to do that. But
yeah. No, and I agree with you that yeah. I mean, he's young, he learns, it's a learning moment. But my point of bringing that up is that I think it's really harmful to the players and coaches to have to answer questions right after a game because, emotions are high, feelings are raw. And I know with social media, with the TV contracts and all that stuff, the media wants access. But there's got to be some give here where these players and coaches don't have to sit there and take some questions are very good, but some are very not good. And it's really irritating sometimes to listen to these questions right after a game. Like, what happened? Well, we lost, and that's, I think, why Belichick and Parcells was always so, tend to be say very few words. So I don't know. I just wondered what your take is on that. And I know you're a media guy, so you probably want access all the time, but I just think sometimes it's counterproductive because sometimes coaches and players can say things in hindsight a couple days later they think, man, why did I say that?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a very good question, and it's a very good topic, and it's one, and the reason why it's good, Bob. Thank you for the call. Appreciate that different perspective. And this is where it's tricky because it toes the line. There is a 10-minute cooling off period. So it's not right after the game, emotions and all that. And let's also be honest about this part too. You're talking about the interviews and stuff like that, and right after the game, emotions are high. again, I'm not finger pointing here because it's very general, but when you see players after the game smiling, laughing with the other team, taking off the jersey, signing it on the field, and walking off with another team's jersey and stuff like that. Every player is different, but I'm saying it happens a lot. So they seem pretty cooled off at that point. And again, this particular one with Trayvon, he kind of, he came out. I think what had happened is he was alerted to certain things. I don't know if he went and just searched things. I think he was told, look what the people are saying, and he, then he responded to it as well. The questions about what happened and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it does get kind of weird at times when you're asking players what happened, especially even a coach. Your offensive line, he's not going to tell you that. He wants to look at the tape. He's not going to throw any player under the bus, especially if he hasn't seen the tape. So it's kind of tough sometimes to get a good answer, but you want those emotions, and that's the two-sided thing with the media. That's the power of the press, because the media will say, well, this guy was boring. He doesn't ever give you anything. He just says this. But if he does give you an emotion, oh my God, why would he say such a thing? He should apologize for that. So, the media, a lot of times, I think we're guilty of asking for more raw emotion and really good answers. And sometimes when you get it, then you're shocked of like, why would a guy say something like this? This has been going on for a long time. I don't even know if I'm making sense in that answer. I think the point of it is that there's really no right or wrong answer there. The media asks questions. The guys in the media, there's certain people that we see, and everyone has an opinion of somebody else, and that's a dumb question, or mine was a dumb question, or what's this guy saying? Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. And players, and I'll say this about the Trayvon situation. I said it yesterday on the radio. Be real careful when you're criticizing a player, especially on defense, because you don't know what the assignment is all the time. I learned that with the Roy Williams long time ago. People would love to pile on about Roy Williams, just like they like to pile on about Trayvon Diggs. Everyone, we need a scapegoat, I guess, and it's always real cliche to say that. About Trayvon and his tackling or whatever. I think the part that Trayvon was upset about is that he played a pretty good game the other night. He played well. There wasn't a lot of talking about what Trayvon is doing and getting in there and making tackles and stuff like that. I've never had a problem really with the way he plays. What they're asking him to do, what they paid him to do, I don't really fault him. And if people want to disagree with that's fine. But I don't necessarily agree with that. I thought the play in question was fine. I thought Trayvon did what he was supposed to do, made the play. So I think that's what he was kind of upset about. And the whole situation was bad, in my opinion. I think the reporter got exactly what he was wanting, and he continues to get that. I didn't like the way some of all that kind of went down, but you can't ever control that. Everyone's got their own opinions on how they deal with that. Let's go to Chuck in Bridge City, Texas. Chuck D.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Chuck. What's up?
Yeah, on that game, I don't know if y'all listened to the broadcast. I know you're at the games, but they brought up it was National Tight Ends Day, and they were saying at one point, like, who's going to get it, Kittle or our guy, Ferguson? Well, obviously it was Kittle, because he showed up and had a huge game. Seems to have a career game every time he plays us. And I can't stand that guy because he wore that shirt, that said F Dallas last year.
Uh-huh.
So that is frustrating because you want to stop him, and he was their biggest player, and he kept making plays.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's hard to watch.
I put a lot of that on the scheme too. I mean, there's ways you can cover him. You can try. Here's what I didn't like. They had 3 cornerbacks active for the game. And they got a ton of guys on the practice squad that they could have elevated if they wanted to. So because of the injury situation that they had, and also just they decided to put Booth inactive, so they didn't have a lot of options there already going into the game. My point is that you want to take out Kittle, put a corner on him, put Diggs or Rawariye on him. You probably won't have that kind of production. But then what happens to the other guys? And they didn't have a lot of help there. So I don't know if I love the way that was. There was one guy that could really beat him, and that was Kittle, and he certainly did.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So that's frustrating.
Yes. And the other thing, I know that was a long point, but Overshown's a stud, and that was the highlight for me for that game, was that sack he had. And he almost could have, put us in position to win, but it didn't happen. But anyways, he's a stud, and that's what I got to look forward
to. Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Chuck. I mean, Overshown is one of those good, young, exciting players, really good player, and he's going to get better. He's got the attitude that you want. After the game, asking him about that play, and he was like, he basically, in so many words, was like, I let down the team. He didn't say I failed the team, but he was like, I let down the team on that play. And, you're like, that was a really good play. You nailed the quarterback and got him off the field. And he looks at it like, I've got to get him to fumble. I mean, he's got the ball in his hands, and I hit him from the backside. I've got to have my technique has got to get where my arm's in there. I got to get the ball. And I love that answer, because that's a player that says, I didn't do enough to help us win. And I don't know if that we see that as much anymore. And I'm not just talking with the Cowboys. I'm talking about the whole league. I mean, you see it all the time. A lot of people worried about themselves, worried about, what's good for them, what their stats look like. And Overshown, he's kind of a throwback player. And again, I'm not saying what players do this or not. I just know for him, he's trying to win the game. I mean, and that's the biggest thing for him. But when it doesn't happen, I mean, Overshown always talks. He always stands up there, does it, faces the music. You can get good quotes out of him right after the game, and he's pretty honest about it. So I liked that answer from him. Yes, it was a great play, but he knows they didn't win, and that was one of those that you could have knocked the ball out. And I don't know how he doesn't fumble. It's one of those plays that reminded me of the Jeff Heath sack against Aaron Rodgers in that playoff game in 2016. Where somehow Aaron Rodgers held onto the ball and then ended up making a great play afterwards. But, he was hit so hard you would expect the guy to fumble. It could have changed everything. Imagine if the Cowboys would have got that fumble just the other night against the Niners. It would have been great. All right, let's take a break here on Cowboys Storyline. We got more questions to answer here and more calls to take. We'll be right back here on Cowboys Storyline.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
We got big personalities. We got big hair, big belt buckles. We got fans all across this big state and enemies in every other one. We even got a big star on the 50-yard line. Smirnoff knows football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together. With good drinks and good folks home or away, we rally together. We cry together. And we always rally cry together because, most of all, we got big love for them boys. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
Head to AT&T Stadium to experience Rally Day presented by SeatGeek on Saturday, November the 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get ready to cheer on the Dallas Cowboys with tours of the stadium, autographs from the Cowboys cheerleaders, ticket giveaways, games, and more. Visit AT&TStadium.com/rallydays to get your tickets today. All right, we're back here on Cowboys Storyline. I'm Nick Eatman here. We got more calls to take. Talking Cowboys, Falcons, Cowboys, 49ers, if you want to look back. I know Jerry Jones said on the radio Tuesday on 105.3 The Fan, he said yesterday is as dead as Napoleon. So you don't look back. You're not getting it back, moving forward all the time. So I guess we can focus on that as well. Rob in Vegas is next. Rob, what's up?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Rob. What's up, man?
Well, unfortunately, you have to look back because I think what's happening with this team stems from last year and Jerry's unwillingness to fire Mike McCarthy after the Green Bay game. And the reason why I say that is you threw this season away because you didn't want to build a team around a coach that you're going to fire. You came out after basically the Green Bay loss. Yeah, he's got 1 year left. He's pretty much going to have to get to the NFC Championship to keep his job. But yet you took away so much. You lost your starting center, your running back, two of your better pass rushers, your defensive tackle, and you never replaced them. You lost your defensive coordinator. You're bringing a guy that now they got to learn. So you were setting this guy up to fail this year. And what bothers me is if you knew you were going to go into the offseason and you were going to drop $90-something million with Dak and CD, and we all felt this was a good team, why throw the season away? You should have fired McCarthy after last year because you showed that you have no faith in him because you weren't going to extend him and build around that team from last year, which we all felt was very good. But instead, he was willing to throw this season away, and I just find it crazy to invest that kind of money in two players that you basically are going to lose a year of productivity. And the only way those contracts make sense is you have to win a Super Bowl. And so does, Buffalo and Philadelphia. Those teams that are dropping that kind of money, the only way that makes sense is you have to win a Super Bowl. But that's my feeling. He threw the season away because there was no way. That's why they're not going to add any players, and it makes sense. Why add players now? The new coach that comes in, he's got to have to say in how this team is going to be built. And that's why they're just going to ride it out. That's why you hear him say, we're going to look at the young guys. Of course you are. You got no choice. That's all you got. So it just, I really have never seen a really good team just throw the following year away.
Yeah. I haven't either.
On purpose.
I haven't either, and I still have not.
Wait a minute. So you don't agree with that. Why didn't?
I don't agree that they threw the season away. I don't agree that they're throwing it away right now.
But you have. But wait a minute. You don't agree.
Nope.
By him not extending Mike McCarthy, what was he saying?
That doesn't throwing the season away. What if he?
Well, yes, it was.
What?
Okay, but he set him up for failure.
I don't think he set him up for failure. I don't think he set him up for failure.
Well, who did? He didn't bring in anybody. He did not replace anybody that he lost.
You act like they had them. You don't replace people that you lose in free agency. You don't replace those guys. Like.
But you didn't even. You brought in a rookie center.
Was there any of those moves that they should have made? I mean, any of those moves. Seriously, you can say this stuff now. Do you think they should have paid $10 million for Biotish? Do you think they should have paid $8 million for Pollard? Do you think they should have done all those? Or Dorrance, any of those moves that he made? Do you really think they should have done it?
I probably would have paid Dorrance Armstrong.
$15 million. No, you wouldn't have, Rob. You would not have paid Dorrance Armstrong $15 million a year.
He's the only guy. We could say what we want about Dorrance Armstrong, but he's the only guy to get sacked. DeMarcus Lawrence is gone after this year.
I get it, but there's no way with Sam Williams here. There's no way that you would have paid $15 million.
Sam Williams is a head case.
So are you. So am I. We all are. I mean,
But what I'm saying is, What I'm saying is, you know that Mike McCarthy was set up for failure. He was already basically said, you got 1 year, make it work with this. I'm going to give you this. Yes, it's not going to be as good as the team as last year, but I expect you to do more. I expect you to get further in the playoffs with a worse team, and if you do not, you're fired. You should have fired him last year. You should have brought in Belichick or whoever you were going to bring in. At least he would have been able to build on that team. You just flew this year away.
All right. I don't know if I don't agree with that, but I mean that's certainly your opinion. Thank you, Rob, for that. All right, let's keep going here. We've got Randy in California.
Hey, what's up, Nick? How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Hey, I want you to ask if you can answer something for me real quick, and then I can go on with my point. When they add void years in these players' contracts, is that to spread out that cap?
Yes, exactly what it is. It to spread out like the money, the bonus that they're giving them, which the bonus is part of the guaranteed money, because that's what all the players want now. So what's the guaranteed money? And you give a guy a bonus, obviously that's guaranteed, but the best way to do that is to spread it out into voidable years, so that your cap hit isn't, especially your cap hit right now is not as big.
Right. So for interesting because Jalen Hurts has a void year in 2029 of $97 million. Yeah. So why don't we do something like that with Dak and CD?
Are you sure that they're not? I mean, I haven't looked at them, but
I'm not yet.
I'm pretty sure that's the same type of model. I mean, think of it like this: Dak, how much is he making a year? $60 million a year. Well, he's not. I mean. When he signed the deal, him and CD both, it lowers the cap. Well, why do you think that does? $60 million a year lowers the cap. It's because of those voidable years that they pushed everything out, and actually this year is not as much. So they're doing the same type of games as the Eagles and all those teams are, as far as when it comes to signing deals like that.
Okay, because I was looking at their voidable years, I didn't see massive amount of money going down the road until say 2034, 2035. So I was wondering if you restructure Dak's deal for next year, because I think his cap hit next year is $89 million, I think, and you bring it down, you can create next year. They can create about they can get to $100 million in cap space. So with me saying that, this team's always been let's draft and develop. I'm that's fine. That's a fine model, but you've been drafting and developing since you drafted Zach Martin, who's about to retire, and you haven't got to the NFC Championship. So you have to do something a little bit different. All the other teams do something different. They use free agency a lot better than you do, and draft. And I know they say they don't. You pay good players great money, and average players good player money, but. I mean, they pretty much do the same thing. I mean, they gave Tyron Steele about 18. His cap is $18 million. Is he a great player? Because that sounds like pretty good tackle money right there. But he's playing pretty average.
Are you talking about Terrence Steele?
Yeah, Terrence
Steele. Is it $18 million? 18.
I think his cap is I think next year will be 18. About $18 million, and they could save. And if they cut him post June 1, they could save $9 million or something like that.
That's
But I just want to get your thoughts. Your thoughts on that, where you push it down and you can actually go for it for a little bit of window, and just let your fans know, hey, if we don't get it, these years that we put a lot of this money back, we're gonna be a very bad team. So just roll with it.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think a lot of people would actually appreciate that, saying, okay, we're gonna have a 3-year window, and then we're gonna be crummy for 2 years until we get out of this cap situation and pretty much start over.
Yeah.
So. Well, I have to get your thoughts. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, thank you for the call, Randy. I appreciate that. Good call. Yeah. And, again, that's when you're talking about the cap, and, I mean, I have a good understanding, I think, of salary cap and the structure of it. I mean, I wouldn't last one day up there trying to sorry, I got distracted here. I see Noah Brown getting interviewed on the TV because of the catch that he made. I still can't believe that Washington won that game like that. But I have a good understanding of the salary cap, but again, when it comes to the voidable years and how they structure this and how they make this and roll this over, no, I don't even, and I don't even try so much. That's why you don't ever hear me say they have this much cap space or whatever, because it's always fluid, it's always changing, and there's reason why they have so much. When you have a lot of injuries and you have to keep bringing in guys, bringing in this veteran, bringing this guy. I mean, elevating a player, that all costs money. It costs way more than people ever know. So, anyways, I say all that to say like I think the Cowboys are positioning themselves for next year as far as like trying to save some money for next year. Next year's cap's going to be really challenging, a lot more than it is this year. And so that's why you see some of the cap space that they have. I'll say one more thing about free agency and draft and all that. The teams that are having all this money in free agency are not drafting well. That's why they have the money, and that's why they have the need. The Cowboys have drafted way better than other teams, and they have to sign those guys. But no one ever considers that to be a good. Oh well, we signed our own guy. Like that's great. What about other players? They're drafting well and they're signing their own guys. But you start drafting. Mozzie Smith hasn't panned out right now. We'll see about Tyler Guyton. I think when you see teams not drafting as well. Maybe they hit a rough patch. That's where you're probably going to see a little bit more free agency. But I would be fine with changing the model a little bit and at least attempting on some more free agent guys. I know hasn't been their plan, but like Randy said, it's been a long time. Maybe they should change that a little bit. I would be fine with seeing that if they could go that route. All right, let's go to Dylan, Northport, Florida.
Hey, Nick. So, just on the contract stuff real quick. They built in levers next year for restructures, built in Dak and CD's contracts. It puts them about $88 million in free cap space. But like you said, it's fluid. They got a lot of guys to sign next year. So I have a really strong gut feeling they're going to extend Micah right at the end of the season. I don't think they're going to play this game of waiting until the last second this time around. That's going to free up cap space next year because he's due, I think, for a $21 million hit. But they don't normally participate in free agency. They have way too many needs not to, and they'll have some cap space depending on what they do with their guys that are up for deals next year. So they've got to participate in free agency next year, in my opinion, on that.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You're right about that. They also have like 20-something guys, 22, 23 guys maybe that are going to be unrestricted free agents. So I think you're right. I think they'll participate in free agency. We might see it more than we have in the last few years because they may not be signing all of these guys. Like this isn't the most talented roster that they've ever had. So, just because you're an unrestricted free agent for this team doesn't mean there's not a better opportunity over here. So I think they're going to be more active and probably less active signing some of these guys that are up for new contracts.
100% agree. 100% agree. And regarding the Dak regression, I know Rob feels a certain way about that. Very strong opinion. I put a question up on Twitter asking, why has Dak seemingly regressed? Essentially, was my question. The comments are just outrageous, and the feeling that people have is just outrageous. This guy here says $60 million a year, $231 guaranteed, new daughter, new house, about to get married. He doesn't have to try anymore. Like, how nonsense of a take is that? Like, I can sit here and turn the film on. I can show you about 100 reasons why Dak's not successful. Some of it's on him. Some of it's on the offense. Like, we can talk football and understand why Dak's not successful. All this other BS that's floating around out there about these intangible things, that he has a family, a wife. Like, are NFL quarterbacks not supposed to get married and have children, have families once they are in the NFL?
No.
Like, that's just nonsense, man. And it pisses me off. I'm a pretty chill dude, but like those kind of takes really set me off because it's nonsense. It's nonsense talk, and I can't stand nonsense. So I had to get that off my chest today, and I appreciate taking my call.
Let me ask you this though, Dylan. I mean,
go ahead.
You posted that on like the StoryLiners?
No, it was just my normal page.
But
it kind of blew up, But it's mostly stupid stuff.
But is it? I mean, and that's the thing, like. That's the kind of stuff that blows up, because when you throw stuff out there like that, And then those are the responses. I mean, I'm not faulting you for it, but all I'm saying is that what do you expect, especially on like a Twitter or Instagram or whatever, because that's where, you know what I'm saying? When you throw it out there, of course, I
was talking to my friend Ben about this stuff, and Ben's a really crazy knowledgeable guy. I mean, he works for a certain football company, and he's, I won't mention names or anything, but really smart dude. And, we're talking, the people that blow up on Twitter, the content creators, these guys that do all the stuff on there, they don't really know like a ton about football. They're good at talking, and they post takes that people agree with, and they could be the most nonsensical takes, but people agree with that confirmation bias nonsense. And if you challenge it, well, somehow you're the bad guy, you're the evil guy, even though it's complete baloney. Like most of the stuff that's out there is complete nonsense, has nothing to do with the sport, and it's intangible opinions that are just stupid takes, honestly. But those are the people, those are the posts that blow up. And I guess I got to do more of that if I want a large following, but I really don't. Not at the risk of sounding like an idiot. So
right.
It just is what it is. I'm not Stephen A. Smith, I guess, for a good reason.
Well, you're right. Thanks for the call. I mean, you're right about some of those takes. You people throw that out there all the time, and that's what a lot of the media has become now. They just throw out some rant. Should the Cowboys trade for this former first-round receiver? And you're like, whoa, which guy? Who is that? Click, and it's like some guy, Jerry Rice or something who's, out of retirement. I'm just saying it's like, but they do that stuff, and then they'll be like, well, I mean, I just posed the question, I just asked the question. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. So we call them pigeons. Pigeons, they just kind of fly in, and then you don't really see them afterwards, but they were there, All right, let's go to break here on Cowboys Storyline. We'll be right back here to answer a few more calls.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
Altec Lansing has been perfecting sound since 1927, bringing you decades of audio excellence to elevate your Dallas Cowboys tailgate ritual. Equip your next pregame with the Sound Rover 180 with 6 hours of playtime, built-in microphone, multicolor light modes, and a rugged exterior that's built to last. Visit alteclansing.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off your Sound Rover 180. That's ALTECLANSING.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off. Altec Lansing, official audio partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
AT&T Stadium, November 15th. You can watch Jake Paul taking on Mike Tyson at the stadium. That'll head the card of boxing matches that night. Limited tickets are available now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. All right, back here on Cowboys Storyline. Got time for some more calls. We're going to go to Tamra in Des Moines, Iowa. Tamra, what's up?
Hey.
How are you?
I'm here.
You're here.
Been here for a long time.
You've been holding for a while?
Yeah, quite a while.
Sorry.
But it's all right. You know what?
You can blame me if you want, or Chris.
Nope.
Or
I'm not gonna blame. No, I don't blame nobody. It's all good.
All good. What's up? How you doing?
So I have a bad thing to talk about. You're not going to like this one. I always come in with a couple things. So first thing is, I know this is against the rules and against the law, but I don't exactly hate the Niners because Purdy is their quarterback. He is from Iowa State. I'm a big Iowa State fan. So y'all can stab me and do whatever you want, but I can't not like him. And so there we go. And he looked really rock star. And also, the only time I don't like him is when he's playing against my Cowboys.
Sounds like you do, though. I mean, that sounds like that didn't do anything.
I have to like him a little bit. I mean, he's just a tiny little guy. You can't not like him. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe you don't like him at all, but I kind of.
He played well in the game. It's not about liking, disliking. That doesn't matter to me. I mean, But it's a cool story. He's a cool story until he won't be.
Yeah, I know. And if he comes from your team, like Iowa State, we don't have anybody. So
yeah.
I'm serious. Like, you have to. I'm serious. Like, you just have to like him. Okay, so now back to the real
David
stuff.
Irving?
Yeah, I did. Except for the whole popping that whole side, the side down.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was crazy. Yeah, you don't do that. You don't rage. That was They canceled that. They don't even have that event anymore because of him.
So you have
anyway.
You have a question?
I got stories. Okay, so here's the thing. I called last week and I talked about. I don't know if you remember me that much, but that's okay because I totally remember you. I talked about who brings the thing to the table. Is it the coaches or is it the players executing? And I said distractions. That's where I was coming from. And so my husband, he popped in this week and he's real quiet. You would love my husband. He's the quietest guy in the world. He knows so much about football. I learned so much from him. And he said, "Hon, you were right about both things." He's like, "They're both wrong." The distraction, too many distractions or disruptions or whatever word I use. And then also execution. It is both. He's like, that coach is going to get fired probably. And he's like, Dak Prescott played like crap. And, okay, I'm going to pop off because you're probably going to yell at me. I know where you're coming from. I know you have to represent both of them, and I understand. But you have to understand where we're coming from too. Just like I could say, Purdy is real nice, and Irvin, he canceled an event.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm coming from. Like, we're not wrong here.
Okay.
And I appreciate how kind you are to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you let us speak our voice and say like, you understand we're angry and mad right now, and I appreciate that very much. I just want you to know that.
All right. Well,
okay, jump it off.
Thanks for the call. I'm not even sure where she was going with everything there, but thank you for the call. And I do understand. Like, that's the thing. Like, I understand exactly what you guys are coming from because I've been there and I'm still there. Like, you don't have to be a fan of the same team, the same situation to understand. If somebody comes up and talks bad about the Cowboys or whatever, my first question is always like, who's your team? And they say, I don't have a team. Well, all right. You can definitely get the hell out of here. That's why I'm not going to engage any conversation of that. Now, if you're like, oh, this is my team. The Steelers are my team, or the Jets, or whatever it is. Fine. You have a team. Cool. You can talk about that. That's fine. And so I do understand. And I have a team. I have a team in college. Obviously, the Cowboys, that's my team in different ways now. So I understand exactly what you're saying, and I would never say who's right or wrong or whatever. If you're talking about distractions and the tours and things like that, and then how anything that happens Sunday night, we'll see. I mean, like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not their problem in the third quarter. Their problem is that they didn't adjust to anything. They just went out there and played, and the 49ers said, why don't we do this? Let's put Kittle on these guys and nobody can cover them, and let's do this and this, and then, and it worked. And the Cowboys ran out of time to make any comeback, which was really never going to happen anyways, because they weren't the better team. So anyways, your opinion is your opinion. I've said that 1,000 times, and I don't ever try to change it. You can never try to change it, but I certainly have mine. And so, all right, let's go to Gavin in Oklahoma City. Is our last caller.
Hey, Nick. I come to you today with a perspective and not really a question. I just want your thoughts on it, and it might be a little long-winded. I'm going to try to get it out as fast as possible.
Okay.
So the finger pointing in Cowboys Nation, I understand it. We're all frustrated. I'm very, very frustrated and disappointed. But I also want to challenge the thoughts of Cowboys Nation here. When you start to put blame on the front office, let's start with the front office. This team is obviously a draft and develop team. And if you want to go get Derrick Henry, if you want to go get, whoever that's high dollar, you're changing the whole team philosophy, and we're just not in a position to do that right now unless we just want to go through cap hell and, blow up the team. I really think it's very short-sighted for us as fans to think that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones just sit on their hands and they're a bunch of idiots and they drool on the phones. These guys make informed decisions. They have people helping them make these decisions, and they just simply, I think, this season believed in some of the young talent. I think they believed in Rico Dowdle. I think they believed in Jalen Tolbert. I think they believed in all these people to step up, and it just hasn't happened to this point, and the season hasn't gone as planned. My second finger point I want to address is Dak Prescott. Whenever we signed Dak to the $60 million deal, I knew Cowboys Nation was going to be very critical of Dak. That's just, when someone gets paid, that's how it happens, and that's part of the job, and I understand that. But we also understand, and we've been understood, that Dak is not Patrick Mahomes. He's not alone. He's like 99% of quarterbacks in this league. You need a good running game. You need players around you to step up and do their jobs. And no, I'm not excusing Dak's performance from Sunday night. He had a poor game, and he made some decisions that I cannot defend. But at the same time, the rhetoric that Dak Prescott is just a terrible quarterback and we need to get rid of him and he's garbage, it's just simply untrue. It's just, we know what Dak's capable of. Yes, he needs to run the ball, but, there's only so much he can do as one person. And those are just two things I want Cowboys Nation to kind of think about. Maybe this season just hasn't gone to plan. Maybe Dak Prescott is putting in extra hours in the bye week. Maybe McCarthy is putting in extra hours staying up at night, losing sleep, trying to figure out how to use his personnel, and maybe it just hasn't gone to plan. And that's tough to accept, but it is what it is. And that's all I got for you. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Gavin. We're running kind of out of time. You had some good points. I think there's part of it. I think it didn't go as planned in certain cases. And, some of these guys that they counted on, because they kind of have to count on him. They don't have the money to go and sign a bunch of other players. They drafted these guys, so they have to play. Like, this was the year. Jalen Tolbert, like you said, he's got to play well. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what Sam Williams can do. Let's see what some of these young guys can do, especially some of the rookies. And it hasn't worked to plan in certain cases. I think the running back situation, I think they were surprised by that. I think that the guys that they evaluated on other teams, other free agents, they didn't think, they're probably done. Let's not pay them that kind of money in that market for these guys. Let's go with, a cheaper running backs here, and it has not worked out. But I don't think it's just the running backs of why they haven't run the ball well. I think it's a combination. But when you look around the league and see the guys and what they're doing, I think, they probably, in hindsight, could have changed their thought process on that with some of these guys, because I think there's 5 or 6 running backs playing on other teams that have played really well this year, probably more than the expectation. So, anyways, good call for sure. Wish I could address more of that, but we've got to get rolling here. We've got another show coming up here, Cowboys Break coming up right now. So, for Chris Beam, I'm Nick Eatman. We will see you guys tomorrow on Cowboys Storyline. Thank you.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?